What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. This is Legends of Tomorrow, Season 3, Episode 16, I, Ava. So, as the title of this episode kind of gives you, you kind of figure out a little bit more about Ava in this one and who she really is, what the secret behind her is, and all that stuff, which is interesting because that's not actually the part of this episode that stuck out to me, but we'll get to that. I am going to start off talking about the Ava stuff because, it's I kind of figured eventually we were going to learn who she really is and what her story is. I didn't expect it to be right now in this episode. I guess I think I saw there are only 18 episodes this season, so maybe that's why, because there are only 3 episodes left, and yeah, you got to figure out who she is before then. So we see Sarah's trying to get a few days off from the Wave Rider because of what happened with Ava, and she's upset. And so she wants to just take a day or two to clear her head and just kind of think things over. Well, of course, everyone's trying to get her to stay. She makes Amaya the captain and then is about to leave. Ray is talking to her when all of a sudden Gary comes in and says Ava's missing. And so they go on a little mission to try to find her. They go into her office, find a letter from her parents in Fresno, go to Fresno, talk to her parents, find out these are actually actors acting as her parents. And I already had an idea of who Ava might be just based on the title I, Ava. iRobot, it's kind of similar, so I wasn't really sure if it was going to be a robot, if it was going to be a clone of some sort, but I had a general idea of that's where it was going to go, is that there are actually more of her. And so whenever her parents turned out to not be her parents, but actually actors, it started feeding into that idea, and I'm like, okay, all right, I think I see where this is going. They head back to the Time Bureau, and there's Ava. And she acts like she hasn't been gone for a few days. And she acts, she says, I was just visiting my parents in Fresno. That's where I've been. And she doesn't really have any sort of reaction to Sarah. And so I started getting this idea in my head. I think I know exactly what's going on here. I think I know what the twist is going to be. And so then Sarah manages to lift her little time watch. They find out that there's this place that everyone is restricted to go. So they hop on the mothership, fly to this, I think it's 2213, I think is the year, and Detroit, I think is the city. So they go there and see all of these Ava Sharps running around, and then they see that there's a cloning facility that has made this perfect clone that I guess sort of acts like the police and, like the people that are supposed to be in charge and keep the rules, keep everyone abiding by the rules and all that. So, of course, this automatically keeps my theory rolling. They head to this place that's creating the clones, go in, see one being made. One wakes up and is about to take them into custody and terminate them, but then Sarah manages to knock her out and they tie her up. And that's when the Ava Sharp that I saw earlier walks in. And this is where I expected her to be like, no real sort of reaction. It's like, what are you three doing here? You're not supposed to be here. Let's get back to the Time Bureau. That sort of reaction, not any other reaction to seeing clones of herself. But then she does see a clone of herself and passes out. And then when they wake her up, they're trying to get her out of there. And then she starts talking about, I don't know why I said Fresno. Look, the truth is I went to visit my ex and then I created an Upswipes profile. And look, it just really hurt me whenever... I'm just like, really? So we're going with this is actually the real Ava Sharp and that's it? Because my idea made so much more sense. At least to me. Maybe it wouldn't make sense to most people. But, I mean, if you think about it, one of the biggest complaints I had in the last episode was how sappy and over emotional Ava was acting because we'd never seen her act like that before. Well, if you take into account that she's a clone, it actually makes a bit more sense. Because maybe this is the first time, obviously she's had all these memories implanted by Rip, which, who couldn't figure that out instantly? So maybe this is the first time she's actually experiencing these emotions, not just having memories of these emotions. Obviously in her memories, she used to date probably when she was a little girl, but she didn't actually, because these are all implanted memories. So to actually date someone and start to have these feelings for someone and like them, well, all of a sudden that started overwhelming her because she had never actually experienced emotions like this before. And that's why she was acting all sappy, like, oh my gosh, she called me her girlfriend, and oh, I'm so happy you're alive. All of that stuff, that makes so much more sense. And maybe because she got too over emotional, Rip had to replace her with a new Ava that could do her job and not get super over emotional. But no. They make it to where no, the reason she was gone is because she was visiting a previous ex, which means this should not be the first time she's gotten all emotional. and yet it feels like it is the first time she's gotten all emotional. And then she just comes back, acts like nothing's wrong, says she went to Fresno when she really didn't, and then, yeah. It's all too easy. It would have made the previous episode make so much more sense with how she was acting. Because in this one, she doesn't even act all super sappy. Yes, she does have that moment where she's kind of like, look, I'm sorry I lied. I actually went to, visit my ex and all that stuff. That one, she did get a little bit emotional again. But it wasn't that over-the-top stuff that I saw in the last episode. That was just ridiculous. When Sarah comes back, you came back to me. I mean, that's not Ava. That is not the Ava I know, and that's not even the Ava we see in this episode. So, I don't know. I feel like that my story would have provided more answers for why that happened in the last episode, instead of just making it to where it's like, oh no, that was Ava the whole time. She knew how to react. That was her in the last episode. That was her in this episode. Rip didn't replace her or anything. Now this has always been Ava. It just makes it too simple. But ultimately, they managed to get back. I think they are going to go find Rip Hunter in the next episode because Ava's upset about, where did I get these memories from if I'm just a clone? And Sarah's just like, well, obviously Rip did, and we're going to get answers out of him. So I guess trying to figure out why Rip brought her back from the future, why he brought one of these clones back, what were his goals in doing all of this? Why did he create this false persona for her? I guess we're going to get all the answers for that, which is kind of interesting. The only other thing about this that got me a little bit frustrated is, Gary, whenever Sarah said she broke up with Ava, no, but I ship you guys so hard. Yeah, so does most of the fan base. Thanks for just literally saying what the entire fan base is saying. Because that's all the CW does is just ship people. They even created a show that I saw in the commercials on the CW seed. I ship this or whatever it's called. It's like, who cares? Just write a good superhero show. I mean, not saying that this one isn't a good one, but that joke just really, it frustrates me because that is all I see in all of these shows. Even the good shows, even The Flash, I still see them shipping people. That's all it is. So, anyway, moving on to the other side of it, we see Amaya and Nate and Wally find out about Mari, her granddaughter. She's apparently been hurt because the totem that was taken from her is starting to solidify in the future, which means that she's starting to lose her powers. And so she goes to save these people in a fire and then ends up getting hurt and put in the hospital, which of course means we can't see her this entire episode because we can't get the actress in for some reason. But we see Nate and Wally go, I guess, check on her, make sure she's okay, and I guess talk her out of maybe heroing for a little bit until they get this whole thing sorted out, while Amaya is on the ship and convinces Zari to help Mick with his totem and try to figure it out. And these two don't really go hand in hand as well as I'd want them to, but there is a scene at the end that does connect them together. So basically for Zari and Mick, all it is they don't get along. And you could kind of tell going into it that that's what was going to happen. And I did enjoy it. It was funny to see, Mick just being a total jerk to her trying not to react because she's trying to be peaceful. She's trying to be reasonable with him, but Mick is just making it so hard for her. And eventually there's one point where, he's already made fun of her for not eating because she's doing Ramadan. He's like eating pork in front of her, which is making her angry as well. And so she's just trying to help him figure out his totem, but he doesn't want her help. He's enjoying being able to cook food with his hands, pretty much. And so finally, there's one point where he's supposed to hit a teddy bear with fire. He hits everything else but the teddy bear. And then she yells at him, and he calls her a bitch, and then she just starts throwing him around the room with her wind totem. And so then, they do have one scene that connects back to the other story. We see Nate and Wally. They're in the hospital, and Nate sees Kuwasa in there. And so they're going to stop her from... They think she's trying to hurt Mari. Then she reveals, no, I'm actually trying to protect her because she doesn't have her totem. And so then this leads to a little thing where we see she actually wants to protect Mari because she still loves her. She's her sister, even if she doesn't like the fact that Mari got the totem from Amaya, not her. So even though she does resent that, she still wants to protect her because she's family. Well, we see Nate comes up with a plan. Hey, if you really want to help, let's get your grandmother's totem back. Let's get Amaya's totem back from the Darks. And so they set up this little plan. Wally leaves to head back to the ship. Nate pretends to be like taken in captive by Kuwasa. She's offering Nate to them for the totem because she says she wants it for herself. But then she double crosses Nate because, it kind of makes sense. Nate is threatening her existence because Amaya is in love with Nate. And as I said before, that's not how the timeline works. Amaya can't love somebody else because that means that her granddaughters wouldn't have been born. Unless they're going to do some weird thing where Nate turns out to be their grandfather, which I don't feel like is going to work. We'll see if that's how it works. I doubt it, though. But I don't know. We'll see what happens, if that's how they're going to handle it, or if they're just going to say, no, Amaya's got to go back to her own time now and make sure her granddaughters are born. But we see, Kuwasa takes that totem to her and says, I traded Nate for it, thinking, oh, I've got your totem back. That should be all it takes, right? Now you can go back in time and save our village like you said you would. But of course, Amaya says, no, that's not how it works. You don't just trade somebody's life. You don't disregard somebody else's life, which also is a valid point. Even if Nate is threatening her existence, he's still a person. And so I like kind of the familial argument going on there, where Kuwasa just wants to make sure she's born, but Amaya's like, but Nate's still a human being. Even if he is threatening your existence, he still deserves the right to live. So I really did enjoy that little battle going on. While this is all going on, though, the best part of this episode is going on where we see Nora is leaving Damien to start torturing Nate to get to have him go get the totems for Malice. It was the best thing you could have possibly done with the scene, because she's choking him and then decides to leave. Is make sure you get the information out of him, and you could just see Damien's just kind of disappointed. He grabs a cattle prod, zaps him for a little bit. He's like, look, I'm sorry, it's not you, it's me. I just don't feel the same way torturing people. And they're just like, no, I understand. Your daughter's being taken over by this demon. He's like, yeah, I know. I want to burn the world down and rebuild it my image, but what good is that if you're not doing it for the person you love? The person you love doesn't even want to do that anymore. And it was brilliant. It was hysterical. Seeing Damien Dark all torn up because his daughter's taken over by this demon. Oh my lord, it was so funny. It was the funniest thing about this episode. It had me rolling with laughter. And then they cut back, and he's got this bat. And she's like, you're going to give me the information I need. And then smacks the table, and Nate goes, ah! He's like, good. Now just up it a little bit more, and gives him a fist bump. And he's like, oh, it hurts, so much blood everywhere. And then they turn back, and Nora's just standing there do you not think I can't find out what's going on? She tosses Damien across the room, and that's when Amaya and Wally show up. And so then there's this little bit of a battle. A few interesting things happen. First off, she steals Wally's speed and then throws it back at him, which was really cool. And the fact that we have a villain that can do that is okay, so they're nullifying Wally's speed, which is good. Because I was worried whenever Wally showed up, it would be one of those things where, oh, he's just so fast. He can easily take on anybody that they have to go up against. So seeing now that there's a villain they're taking on that can steal his speed and use it is actually pretty cool, and it makes for a better villain. We also see Amaya try to turn on her totem, but because Nora used it, it's obeying her for a second, but then Amaya, I guess her willpower manages to take it back over. They didn't really explain that very well. I thought Kuwasa would just show up and help her, and then that would be how they end it. But for a second, she actually manages to use her totem. She gets her strength back. I don't know. It seemed a little bit too Deus Ex Machina. No, you don't have power over me anymore. And then she stands up and starts fighting. They could have done something a little bit better with that. But Kuwasa does show up, frees Nate, and so the three of them are about to fight. But then Malice knocks them back. Kuwasa steps in, manages to block Nora's attack, and then tries to appeal to Nora again, which is something that has been happening for quite a lot of this season. We see our good guys are trying to reason with Nora because she's the one that's embodying malice, and they're trying to find the Nora inside of here instead of letting malice do all the talking. So I don't know. I don't know if that's going to end up being what stops Malice, is convincing Nora to sort of banish him, or if they're just going to somehow release Malice from her body and then banish him. I don't really know what's going to happen. But ultimately, Nora says, "No, I gave you life, and now you're going to turn against me. No, you're going to pay for that." So she manages to rip the water totem out of Kuwasa, which ends up killing her. Kind of an emotional scene, and this is where Zari and Mick are training. She's like spinning him in a tornado, which is hysterical. But then all of a sudden she stops. They both realize something's up. They touch their totems, and they realize Kuwasa's dead. This is my problem. A majority of this episode was just hysterical. It was hilarious seeing Damien be all broken up about Nora and then pretend to torture Nate, as they're forming like a little bit of a buddy partnership. Seeing Zari throw Mick around the room with her wind powers, spinning him in a tornado is hysterical. There's so many funny moments in this episode, and then they kill Kuwasa. That emotion is such a 180 for me. I didn't really feel it. And that is the one biggest problem I have with this, is they didn't really do enough to build up to this. They have all these funny moments between, Damien and Nate, Mick and Zari, Sarah and Ava even. You have all these funny things going on, and then you have a character die. And now everybody's really upset about it, and it's just like, I don't feel it. I don't really feel that because you didn't do enough to connect me to the serious side of this. It's one of those things where if you're going to have a character die, you need to have it be a bit more of a serious episode. But they really didn't. They tried to combine the two, and that just doesn't really work. In the past when we've had characters sort of die, or we've had characters sort of move on from the team, there have been a lot more serious moments surrounding it, which allowed me to sort of get into that moment. But up until that final fight, it's all really funny stuff. And then the final fight happens, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, now we're not funny anymore. Now we're serious. And then die. And it's just like out of nowhere. So this is the one problem I have with this. Maybe they'll make up for it somehow in the next episode. But yeah, pretty much that's how the episode ends. They bring everybody back onto the ship. Funny thing, they erase Gary's memory. Another kind of joke thrown in there because he's like, I can't keep a good secret, and every time I close my eyes, all I see is you, Ava. And so they erase his memory to make sure he doesn't tell. Like I said, Sarah and Ava talk about they're going to track down Rip to find out some more answers. We see everybody back on the Zari and Mick are talking over some of the food that she made, and apparently it's one of those things where neither of them have changed by the end of this episode, but it's almost like they can accept each other a bit more. Mick accepts the fact that she is who she is. She believes what she believes. And then she accepts the fact that Mick is just going to eat pork, and that's just how it's going to be. And then we see Amaya talking to Nate, and this is something that I do think they've done well. I talked about how she and Nate, their relationship has really grown this season, and they've done a good job of growing it. Well, now there's something that's stepped in the way because of what happened with Kuwasa. She kind of blew up on Kuwasa earlier, and she ends up getting killed because of what Amaya said. Amaya sort of pushed her to sacrifice herself almost in a way. It's not like she said, yeah, go kill yourself or sacrifice yourself to save us, but pretty much said, this is not who I want you to be. Sacrificing other people just for what you want, that's not how it should be. And so instead she sacrifices herself to help Amaya and them leave. So it is sort of dawning on her that she needs to help the other people, even if it means that she needs to sacrifice her own happiness with Nate. Which I will admit, it is kind of frustrating the fact that we've already gone through this story and now we're doing it again. But it does feel like this is where it's all been leading to, is that eventually she's going to have to make the decision. Does she help her granddaughter stay alive, or does she stay with Nate to keep herself happy? You have to make the decision, and it looks like she has made one because she gets into the little jump ship and then heads back to her time. Which of course means that they no longer have the Earth Totem, so that is a little bit scary. But, it does make sense after what just happened. So all of this is said and done. There's I think there's only 2 more episodes left this season. I'll have to make sure of that later. Uh, but yeah, now on to the next episode of these two that I haven't seen yet. I'll see you guys there. And now episode 17, guest starring John Noble. What? When I saw that title on the CW app, when I saw it, I'm thinking, okay, so what did they like put in half the title and the only part that popped up was guest starring John Noble? But then I went to IMDb and saw guest starring John Noble, and I'm like, what? What? Yeah, they have John Noble on there as himself in Lord of the Rings. Like the fourth wall just went crumbling down. It was really funny though. Like the way they handled it, it was perfect. Exactly how you'd expect it. It was one of those things where when I'm telling this story to people who don't watch the show, it's like, okay, so they have a guy and he is the voice of this evil being that they're trying to stop that you've heard throughout the entire season, and it's John Noble. And then they get the idea in the show to have John Noble pretend to be the voice of the guy, and the it was really funny and well executed. However, this episode didn't come without some of its problems. First of all, the whole Barack Obama thing, I mean, it could have been funny, but they just went so heavy-handed with it. Like, it was just way too many jokes. Way too many jokes. And not all of them were, I mean, there's some of them that I've heard way too many times. The one that did kind of make me like laugh and groan at the same time was when he said "Run, Barry, run," because they called him Barry for some reason instead. I guess he went by Barry in college. Is that accurate? I don't know, but they called him Barry, and so they go back to stop Gorilla Grodd from saving him, and just so many jokes about how he was a great president when he really wasn't, and then making fun of Trump too because Grodd said, "I'm going to make America Grodd again." I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, because that makes sense. America used to be Grodd. Do you remember that time when it was Grodd, and now he's going to make it Grodd again? It's one of those stupid things where, because it's something Trump said, and now a villain is saying it, oh, do you see the irony? The villain is Trump. Oh, it's that liberal humor that just, oh, let's make fun of Trump. That's all we need to do, and then it's funny. When all it is just, you're doing something that everyone else in the world is doing. It's not that funny. Let it go. So with that being said, obviously they save his life. They make it a lot more jokes about how he was such a great president. Sarah goes to talk to him to ask his advice on what was going on with everything. What I really thought would have been funny is, Garrod has him by the neck and he's about to choke him. And he's just like, maybe we can, maybe we can talk this out and, maybe we can try to understand each other. It would have been funny if he was like, maybe we can come to some compromise. I am known with dealing with people. I don't know. Maybe it's just me because I didn't really like him as a president. But of course, the show, it's like, oh, he's great. So after that happens, we also see Amaya and Nate going back in time trying to save no, not Nate. Well, kind of. She goes back in time to save Zambezi. Because that's what she promised she would do. Nate goes back to help her. Wally goes back to stop her. And so that's pretty much the majority of this episode is them trying to figure out what to do. Because basically, because they stopped Grodd from killing Obama, that meant that Malice was still in his prison. However, because Amaya is about to change time, that's going to cause Malice to be released. And so throughout most of this episode, there really is a lot of good quality moments. I mean, there are a lot of good moments with Damien Dark. He's talking about how he wants to stop Malice because he wants to keep his daughter alive. And so we're going through all of this. We're talking about how we got to defeat Malice. Damien Dark is trying to help because of what Malice is doing. And so through all of this, it's just like, okay, we see where the plot is going. But then, right before they decide to go in and stop, Damien sees Nora standing there. And she's like, look, he doesn't really have control over me yet. I need you to help. I need you to help me. Stop him from taking me over, because if he does, I'm gone forever. And all I'm thinking is, that's not true. Like, you already know. You've confirmed that she's done. She's pretty much not there anymore. And yet, for some reason, that's enough for him to go, you know what? Yeah, I need to stop them from releasing Malice now. just to have one final episode. I don't know. It felt kind of forced, because pretty much either way, Malice was going to get released. We knew that. But now, because Damien Dark decides to step in to try to stop it, now everyone on the team has kind of like, it's not, they weren't ready for it. They weren't ready for him to be released, which means now he's released and they're not prepared. Whereas before, they were all ready. They were all prepared to take him down, to take him on with these 6 totems. I do think that the way the totems are being chosen is a little bit random. Like, I feel like the totems should be a bit more, like, they call to people, like they did with Sarah and the Death Totem. That made sense. Damien Dark, same thing with Sarah. He died and came back to life, which is why the Death Totem is calling to him. It makes sense. But then they've got the Earth and Water totems, and it's just like, all of a sudden, you can just pick it up. Who gets the Earth Totem? Oh, well, I'm made of steel, which is, of course, the Earth, so it makes so much sense. And then Ray is just like, oh, yeah, but I make suits out of dwarf star alloy, which means I'm close to Earth. And so Nate gets the Earth Totem, Ray gets the Water Totem. No real connection to it. Like, there's no choosing. They're the ones doing the choosing, not the totems. I feel like that was a little bit cheap. It feels like the totems should have done the choosing in that case. But whatever the case is, they end up giving the Earth to Nate, which does sort of make sense because he is made of steel. But I feel like the Water Totem isn't going to work for Ray, because we even see he's not able to use it in this episode. And I think part of the reason why is because he's not attuned to water. Where we see everyone else is attuned to their totems. Obviously Amaya, her totem called to her. Zari, her totem called to her. Damien Dark, like I said, the Death Totem, it makes sense because he died and came back to life. Nate, the Earth. Fire goes to McRory because he loves fire. He's obsessed with fire. But nothing really with Water and Ray. And so I'm trying to think if there's anyone on the team that Water might appeal to. And honestly, I can't really think of one. I guess the closest, maybe they're going to go with Ava, just so she does have a purpose, because for most of this episode, she's just kind of like bitching and complaining about being a clone. It just feels like ever since she figured that out, she's completely against the rest of the team. Even in the moment where Sarah confesses her love for her because she just had a talk with Damien Dark about love, even in that moment, she's like, oh, but I'm just a clone. She's kind of being like really depressed and emo about it, and I understand partially why she feels this way, but at the same time, you're trying to stop a demon here. You could lighten up a little bit. So with all that being said, obviously everything plays out how you'd expect. Damien Dark releases Gorilla Grodd on the village to try to keep time being the same way because Amaya's trying to save the village, and then Nate steps in, stops Gorilla Grodd, so that means time is all broken up and split apart, and so then Malice gets released in Nora, and that's pretty much where the episode ends. So the next episode is the last episode. It will be them trying to stop Malice. So I don't really know what to expect. Obviously, like I said, I feel like it is going to be the team with the totems taking him on, but I think the big part of it is going to be finding out who can use the Water Totem, since I don't think Ray will be able to. If he's just able to because, he can use it, I feel like that's going to be a little bit cheap. So I do hope they find a way, if it is going to be him using it, I hope they find a way to connect it for me, because every other totem, it makes sense why the totem bearer is able to use it. With him, it doesn't really make sense. So maybe they'll find somebody else to use it. Who knows? We'll see. But I am looking forward to seeing how this is all going to come to an end. So that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts of these 2 episodes? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe. Future Legends of Tomorrow, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.